Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with RNJ. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin and Afrio. We got a busy show today. We got Week 6 in the NFL. We got a big week of college football, especially in the Big Ten. But we got to start with the baseball. And last night at around 9 o'clock, it did not look good for the Yankees. They were down 6-1 in the third inning. But pretty much everything turned around then when Judge got that big double to cut the lead to 6-2. They got a sac fly, standing out a sac fly, made it 6-3. And then to me, last night, the decision, which I felt like turned the game around, and the decision that very, very easily could turn the series around, was John Schneider taking out Shane Bieber in the third inning, not getting any length from his starter, with them having a bullpen game tomorrow. He threw a ton of bullpen guys today. That could be the move that turns this entire thing around, in my opinion. It could turn this entire thing around. And then the Yankees in the fourth inning, Aaron Judge had that pretty much, which could potentially, if this team makes a run, could be his signature moment, hitting that 3-run homer to tie the game at 6. Jazz hits the home run in the 5th. They get the single from Wells, go 8-6. And the bullpen was out. The bullpen was terrible the first two series, especially in Game 1. Weaver in Game 1, the bullpen was terrible in the first couple games of the series. But yesterday, that bullpen was great. I mean, Devin Williams was really good. Fernando Cruz was great. Tim Hill was great. And then David, like he's done pretty much since the Yankees got him, David Bednar gets the save there. So the Yankees, they're still in it. They're still alive. They're down 2-1. But in my opinion, I think they have out of all the teams that are trailing, to me, from what they did last night, they got seeing what the seeing that Toronto's running a bullpen game tonight. To me, they have the best chance of any of these teams in the ALDS that are trailing to get to the league championship series.
Yeah, for the Yankees, and I think I wonder if Toronto last night pulled Bieber there, kind of like what Cora did with Bello in Game 2, knowing that he wants to get this thing done tonight and was hoping to kind of finish it off, so he didn't have to get this bullpen game. I think they feel pretty good about Game 5 going back there, but I think he tried to finish it last night, didn't want to get this bullpen game. Now he's going to have to. So I think that's why maybe there's some urgency there last night. But yeah, the Yankees need a big wake-up call. Rodon was pathetic last night. Even that start last week in Boston, he gave up 3 runs. He wasn't great. Yeah, he was okay. He's not pitched well when they really needed him in the postseason of late. So the bullpen bailed him out. Toronto's defensively bailed him out. And Judge, hit. That was his 6th home run too, all time in an elimination game, and 6th all-time home run, in a playoff elimination game. So I think Poppy has that, and maybe Mickey Mantle, maybe one other. So he's been really good. When the season's on the line, he came up big. That, definitely, you mentioned his signature moment in the postseason. And now hopefully that means they start pitching careful to him, and that means maybe Stan gets going. Because I know he had hit last night, but So yeah, bullpen was great. Duvall, Devin Williams has pitched really well this postseason. That's a guy 3 weeks ago you really
Yeah.
did not trust at all, but
Oh, he's been great. I
they've
mean,
used him.
he was a big reason why they advanced against the Red Sox because he shut them down
Yeah.
in the 8th inning of Game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've needed him, and he's pitched well in Bednar. So, the Yankees had to all use their top leverage guys last night. Hopefully Cam Slittler can go deep again, but it's tough to replicate what he just did against Boston because 12 strikeouts, 7 innings. It's gonna be tough to top that, but they're gonna need a big performance out of it. And Toronto got him. I think Toronto knocked him on the first inning last time, like a month ago. I think he gave up 6 runs in 1 inning in the first inning. So, Toronto's been like the one team that's really hit him, but they need him tonight.
Yeah, and you talked about it's gonna be tough to replicate what he did against the Red Sox. It's gonna be tough, but I think he could still be really really good tonight. I still think he's really good tonight. And you mentioned something earlier about Game 5. I think the Blue Jays made that move last night because they're very very confident that they could win Game 5 in their building because they have dominated the Yankees in their building the entire season. The entire season they've dominated the Yankees in the Rogers Center. So I think they're very very confident, and I think that was a big reason why the Blue Jays made that move last night of taking Bieber out of the game so early and going to their bullpen so early.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you could see because they have to go to bullpen game here in Game 4, so like they're really, they're not really trusting Scherzer right now because he didn't make the roster, and I guess Chris Bassett is still hurt, so you can't use him. So yeah, they only have 3 starters right now. So like I think too, they would love to get it done last night and not have to get to like a Game 4, Game 5, where you could kind of have Gosman go Game 1, you Savage Game 2, and Bieber Game 3. But now you might have to use like if the Yankees win tonight, now you have to use a Gosman Game 5. That doesn't give you the rest, and now you're not so you might if they do get the LCS, yeah, if that thing goes 6-7 games, you might have to use a bullpen game twice. So I think that's why they would love to get it done so you could have Godwin lined up for Game 1. But I wonder if he'll probably pitch tonight. If there's a spot, if they're up like 7th inning, I wouldn't be shocked if he comes in for like 2 innings tonight just to finish them off. It's risky.
I don't think you're going to see him. I just don't think you're going to see him. I think they're going to save him for Game 5. I don't think you're going to see Gosman tonight. I think they want him Game 5 at home in that deciding game. I don't think you're going to see Gosman tonight.
Yeah, if they're losing, I don't think you will. I think if they're winning, if he doesn't trust their high leverage guys or he give up a run or two something, I could see him go tonight and then they use you Savage again on Friday. But I wouldn't be totally surprised. I think they only do it obviously if they're in a winning, if they're up. But I could see him come out for like an inning or two tonight. But I wouldn't totally be shocked if we see a Gosman tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be surprised. I'd be a little bit surprised if we see him tonight. I think he's going to be saved for Game 5. I think he is. But the Yankees down 2-1. We'll get to what they need to do to come back and win the series. And number one, it all starts tonight with the starting pitching because the starting pitching has been absolutely pathetic for the Yankees in the series. Been absolutely pathetic, and they're lucky that their bats showed up last night, or they wouldn't be they wouldn't be playing Game 4. So their starting pitching, Rondon and Fried, were pathetic in Games 2 and 3. So Schlittler's got to be really good. Schlittler has got to be really really good tonight. He's got to be good. He's got to show up. He's got to be good. And then number 2 for me, the bullpen has to pitch the way it did last night. The bullpen has to do that. If Luke Weaver comes into the game, he needs to bounce back. He's been terrible in the postseason. Devin Williams got to continue to pitch the way he has. We all know Bednar has been great. Fernando Cruz has been really good too. So the bullpen has to continue to pitch well, pitch well too. So those are my 2 keys because I know tonight I feel like the offense is going to score at least 5 or 6 runs. I'm confident in that. If they get good starting pitching and the bullpen does what it's supposed to do, to me, there's no doubt that they're going back to Toronto on Friday.
Yeah, for me, same thing. Schlittler's got to go deep tonight. Another strong outing. 8 innings like he did last Thursday would be great. Just because you use a ton of your top guy, and I know they'll all be available again tonight. I know Bednar got 5 outs, so he probably can't go more than an inning tonight. But you need, you get all, so they're going to need Cam to go deep. Number 2 for me, the bats stay hot tonight. Jump on the bullpen early. Because you don't want this game being tight or tied or down a run or two late in this game where you are going to have to face the Toronto high leverage relievers. We'd rather be up where Toronto doesn't necessarily punt on it, but you're not going to see their high leverage guys late in this game. So, the bats stay hot tonight. Bellinger, Stanton, Judge, the top. Those guys get it going tonight and early, and to get in that bullpen early. Make sure you don't see the high leverage guys.
No, yeah, you want to get a jump on them early. Yeah, you don't want you don't want to see the high leverage guys, because once you see that, it's gonna be really difficult. Get a jump early. Continue to hit the way you hit on last night. Just continue to do that, and they should be fine. They should be fine if they just continue to hit the way they did. Get a good start from. Schiller doesn't have to be dominant. Just a good start, good 5-6 innings. Bullpen continues to pitch well. There's a very good chance the series is going back to Toronto. If the Yankees do what they're supposed to do, it should go back to Toronto.
Yeah, it should. All the momentum that kind of shifted last night was huge for them. Kind of a couple breaks went their way too. So I think that's what they all needed. Kind of big breakout like that, and to get the confidence going, and they got it last night. So yeah, I feel good about tonight. Not necessarily maybe game 5, but feel pretty optimistic right now that they could at least get this thing back to game 5, and we'll see. Max Fried can't be any worse in game 5 than he was in game 1. So there is that.
Exactly. So for the Blue Jay angle of this, what do they need to do to close it out and get to the League Championship Series for the first time since 2016? For me, it all comes down to their offense continuing to stay hot. Their offense with Vlad and Varsho and Clement and Kirk. Their offense is continuing to stay hot. I think if their offense continues to hit the way they've hit, I think they'll be able to. There's a good chance they'll be able to. I don't know if they close it out tonight because they're playing a bullpen game, but I do think if they continue to hit the way they're hitting, there's a good chance that they can win. They'll win game 5, and also if they do have a game 5, Gosman's got to be good. If those two things happen, I do think the Blue Jays win the series.
Yeah, for me, for Toronto defensively, they got to be better.
That's a good point. Last night, that was huge. That was huge last night.
Yeah, that was.
Barger dropping that pop up, and then you had that error in the first inning
Santana.
as well.
Yep, and then Santana, that ball gets by him. Yep. So for Toronto, they got to be better in that area because they only had 86 errors all year. They were really good defensively, but last night, a couple of things kind of went. The Barger plays you mentioned was a bad one. Santander let the ball get by him. So Toronto's got to be better tonight defensively. Don't give the Yankees kind of free runs because that was a huge part of how the Yankees got back in that game last night. And then my second one is, just continue that lineup. Just stays hot like it's been. Like Vladdy has destroyed them this series. And, they had 11 strikeouts last night. They went 7 through the first 2 games. So for them, putting more balls in play, putting pressure on that Yankees defense, we know been pretty good so far this postseason, but we know it could have their issues. So for Toronto, because they do have a lot of speed, and that's given the Yankees problems at times this year because they take some extra bases on them. So for Toronto, just some better at bats tonight, getting the ball in play for that lineup that's been red hot and that has been great against the Yankees all year.
It has been. So for the series prediction, I mean, this is the Red Sox series. I thought they'd win it. Then when they lost game 1, I didn't think they'd win it, and when they won game 2, I thought they'd win it. For me, with this series, I thought they'd win it beforehand, but for me, it just comes down to the Yankees. Two things. It comes down to how bad they've been in Toronto this year. They're 1-8 in Toronto this year. They're 1-8. And even though if they get to a game, because I'm very confident they're going to win tonight. I'm very confident they're going to get it to game 5. I am. With the Blue Jays having a bullpen game, I'm very confident it's going to get to the 5th game. I'm very confident of that. Here's they've just been, the thing about it though is they've been so bad in Toronto this year that if it gets to a game 5 in Toronto, I don't think they're going to win it. And another thing too is I brought this up for the last month. When Aaron Boone has had home field advantage in a playoff series, the Yankees are 6-0. When he hasn't, they're 1-6. And the only series they won where they didn't have home field advantage was that Cleveland series in 2020 during the pandemic where there were no fans. And I felt like the Yankees were a better team than that Cleveland team. These teams are very, very, very evenly matched teams. So I hate to say it. I think it definitely goes 5. I think the Yankees lose a tough game 5. I think they lose this. They very easily could win it. The way they looked last night, to me, and I said it to open the show. Out of all the teams that are trailing in the DS, the Yankees have the best chance to get to the CS, to get to the championship series. To me, the Yankees are the best. I'm not saying this because I'm a Yankee fan. I'm just saying it from what I've seen from all the other 4 series. The Yankees have the best chance to get to the CS out of any of the 3 teams that are trailing. The Tigers, the Phillies, and the Cubs. They have the best chance, but they've just been so bad in Toronto, and they've been so bad in the Aaron Boone era when they haven't had home field advantage in the playoffs that it's like night and day. When they have the home field advantage with Aaron Boone, they win. Last year they had it throughout the entire American League playoffs, and they got to the World Series and lost. So when they have the home field advantage, they win. When they don't, they lose. I'm going to say in a very close Game 5, I hate to say it, but I'm going to go Toronto in 5.
Yeah, I'm with you at Toronto 5. They've really struggled up north of the border. Maybe the one thing is that the Yankees won tonight that puts all the pressure back on Toronto to have to win a Game 5. And it's a younger team that, outside of Springer,
they don't have any experience.
Because Scherzer's not even on the roster.
So, they don't really have any experience. They don't have Bichette either in this series. Let's not forget that. They don't have Bichette either.
Yeah, so maybe that plays in the Yankees' hands of pressure. Yankees jump on, early on in Game 5 and really put the pressure on Toronto. That's the only way I kind of really see them because, Fried, his numbers in playoffs haven't been great since that Game 6 clincher against the Astros.
He was great in Game 1 against the Red Sox. He was great in Game 1 against the Sox.
He was good. Yeah. He was good that start. The other Game 1 against Toronto, he was abysmal. And I just think Toronto's lineup with how much confidence they kind of have, that the way that lineup swinging the bat, the way that's comfortable they've looked at home all year, especially against the Yankees, I do think Toronto finds a way to finish them off. And I do think Gosman pitches well enough there, and the Yankees do lose a tough one. And I could see the bullpen give up maybe a couple runs too there Friday night up north of the border.
I could. I think the Blue Jays win this series close, but as I've said like 4 times on the show already, out of any of the teams that are trailing, the Yankees have the best chance to get to the League Championship Series. Now we'll move on to the other American League Series. And last night, the Mariners beat the Tigers 8-4. So they are now 1 win away from heading to the ALCS for the first time. So guess was the last time when the Mariners played. Last time they were in the ALCS when they faced the Yankees when they won 116 games.
01.
Oh, this is 2001.
Right?
So the first time since 2001, the Mariners would get to the ALCS. They play the Tigers today at 3 o'clock. And Seattle went 8-4 last night. And we'll start with what does Seattle got to do to get to the ALCS. And to me, they got to hit the way they hit last night. They got to hit the way they hit last night. Cal Raleigh's just been amazing. Cal Raleigh is proving why him and Aaron Judge are neck and neck for the MVP. Cal Raleigh's been amazing. And then the offense, even Suarez stepped up last night, hit a home run. Crawford hit a home run. Got a really good start from Logan Gilbert. Really, really good start from Logan Gilbert there. They got a really good start from him. And he was really good. And so that was a big reason why they won the game too. And then another thing for me is the bullpen needs to be better. Munoz should not have been in that game last night. They were 8-1 in the last inning. Munoz should not have been in that game. The bullpen has got to be better for Seattle. They got to be better. So, but if they hit in the bullpen is because they're not pitching a good pitcher today. They're not pitching a good pitcher today. I can't remember who they're.
It's Bryce Miller. He struggled this year. He's been banged up. He was nasty last year. He had an under 3 last year. So
Bryce. Yeah,
maybe you can find it.
They're not throwing a good pitcher today. So I think that the 2 things they need to do is they gotta keep hitting, and the bullpen needs to be better because the bullpen's going to come into this game. I feel like in the fourth. I think at the latest the 5th inning. So the bullpen's got to be better. Those are my 2 things for Seattle to get to the ALCS.
Yeah, for me, for the Mariners, Miller, he's had a tough year, and the walks have really killed him this year. He had 34 this year, 90 innings. Last year, when he pitched 180, he only had 45 walks all year. So walks have kind of been a concern for him. He's got to throw strikes tonight. He's got to help out that bullpen because that Tigers lineup has struggled most of the postseason. I think they've scored 3 runs in most of the postseason. They've kind of struggled to break through, since Game 3 against Cleveland. So that's number 1 for me. Number 2 is, as you mentioned, the bats kind of stay hot for them. They broke out last night after kind of the first 2 games. They didn't get much going, but maybe last night's a good sign for them. Raleigh got going. Suarez, they need Josh Naylor now to kind of start contributing as well to that lineup. So for me, the bats, and they need a good start tonight from Bryce Miller, who does have it. He had an under 3 ERA last year. The injuries have kind of affected him, I think, this year, but he's got to find it tonight and have a good start for Seattle to close this thing out, because I know what you said about the Yankees having the best chance. I think it's Detroit, because they got Scooble Game 5.
That's a good point.
Can get it tonight.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I would disagree because I just think Seattle is clearly the better team. I just think Seattle. We'll get to we do our prediction, but I just think Seattle is, if they get if Woo's on the roster in the ALCS, I think they're the favorite no matter who wins between the Yankees and Blue Jays. I think they're the favorite. I think Seattle's the most complete team. If they get Woo healthy for the ALCS, I think Seattle's the most complete team because they got a good closer. They would have a really good rotation and the best lineup Seattle has had in years. So I think if Woo is healthy, Seattle's the favorite no matter who they play in the ALCS. But that's a good point because if Detroit wins today, Scooble does pitch Game 5, but the Mariners did beat Scooble in Game 2 at home. So I think they could do it again. But now looking at the Tiger angle of this, what do the Tigers got to do to keep the series alive? And they got to hit. They got to start hitting. They really, as you said, the entire postseason, they really haven't hit. Outside of that, that one inning against the Guardians in Game 3 of the wild card round, that was the only time they hit. The Tigers got to hit. They have to hit, or their season's going to be over. And number 2, Mize got to be good. Flaherty was not good last night. Flaherty was not. He's been a disappointment all year for them. Flaherty was not good last night. Mize has got to be good. Casey Mize has got to be good. He was their number 2. He was their second best pitcher. I mean, they thought Flaherty was going to be their second best pitcher behind Scooble this year, but really it was Mize. Mize was their second best pitcher behind Scooble. So Casey Mize has got to be good. Those are my 2 keys for the Tigers. What are yours?
Yeah, for me, the offense, you mentioned it. It's been staggering. Though, you mentioned that one inning there. I think it's the 8th inning against Cleveland last Thursday. They haven't done much, and through 6 games, they've struck out 68 times. So I think that's over 11 a game. So that's way too many strikeouts. They got to have better approaches. They got to be better putting the ball in play at least 2. And Riley Green's going as well. He's really struggled this series. They need him in the middle of that lineup to get going. Number 2 for me, as well as Casey Mize. They need a good start from him. The bullpen's a bit shaky, and he pitched really well down the stretch. Like the velocity was up 2 for him, so they need another good start for him for the number 1 overall pick. A lot of injuries, but he's been good this year when healthy. So they need a good start for him tonight to get that thing to Game 5 and have Scooble give him a chance there to come back in the series and get the win.
Yeah, and for my prediction though, I'm going Mariners. I think the Mariners close it out today. They win it in 4th. To me, they're the better team. They're starting to get hot offensively. They hit. I think their bullpen. I think they just hit better. I think their lineup is better than Detroit's lineup. That's going to be the difference, and that's why I got the Mariners closing the thing out and winning it in 4.
I'm going with Detroit. I'm going to say they get the Miller today, and the Tigers win like another low-scoring 3-2 game against Scooby on Friday night, and Tigers come back and win the series. I'll go different.
You're going Tigers. You're going Tigers. So you're going Tigers. You're going Tigers, Blue Jays in the LCS. I'm going Mariners, Blue Jays in the ALCS. So we'll see what ends up happening in the American League. We got to move on to the National League, and I think right now the series that looks. I mean, both the series. It looks like we're getting Dodgers Brewers in the NLCS. But I would say the Cubs have a little bit of a better chance than the Phillies. But the Dodgers right now up 2-0 on the Phillies. Game 2. I mean, what the heck is Rob Thompson doing bunting Bryson Stott there? You got a runner on, so you got all the momentum, runner on second, nobody out. What the heck is Rob Thompson doing bunting Bryson Stott there? Because that turned the entire inning. It turned the entire inning around right there. It turned the entire inning around. The Phillies are now down 0-2. And we'll start with the Phillies and what they need to do to come back and win this series. It all starts with Aaron Nola, who's had a terrible year. Aaron Nola's had a terrible year, but he's the veteran. He has experience. We'll see if that shows up tonight. But Aaron Nola's got to be good. Aaron Nola is got to be good tonight for the Phillies. Aaron Nola's got to be good for them if they want any chance of winning. And number 2, the top 3 guys in the lineup: Schwarber, Harper, and Turner got to do something. Between them, they have 2 hits and 1 RBI in the 2 games in Philadelphia. That just can't happen. They cannot win a playoff series with those 2 guys doing that. It just cannot happen. So those 2 guys have to be better. Turner, Harper, and Schwarber just have to be better. Justin, what do the Phillies got to do to get back in the series?
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna start the lineup as well. They got to get to an early start tonight because if they dig themselves in a hole against Yamamoto, they're done. And the last 11 playoff games now, they're 2-9. The batting average is a .191, so they're batting under the Mendoza line, and also they're averaging 3 runs a game in those 11 playoff games. So yeah, you mentioned that top awards got to get going. They really need those guys early on tonight. And the number two for me is Aaron Nola. He's had a 6 ERA all year. I know it's the Twins. But his final start was against Minnesota. He went 8 innings, only gave up 1 run. Maybe he found something in that final outing there, but they need him to to have the Aaron Nola that we've seen what we've seen in the past from him tonight for them to win this game because going to be Yamamoto, who's been awesome of late, is a tough one. So the Bagton's a wall. See what the Phillies are made of.
Yeah, and then really, here's the problem with this Philly team: when their backs are up against the wall, they don't get the job done. We saw it in the World Series. They were up 2-1 against the Astros 3 years ago. Lost 3 straight, got eliminated. 2 years ago they were up 3-2 against the Diamondbacks. Had a golden opportunity to get back to the World Series. Lost 2 straight there, and then you saw it last year. They lost 2 straight to the Mets. This Phillies team you can't trust this Phillies team in a big spot. You trust the Dodgers. That's why I picked the Dodgers in this series. I trust the Dodgers much more in a big spot than I trust the Phillies. You can't trust this Phillies team in a big spot. You just can't. And that's why I think their season will be. I don't think Philly fans will have a conflict tomorrow night between the Eagles and the Phillies. I think that'll be taken care. The Dodgers will take care of that conflict for them because I think the Dodgers close this thing out tonight, and I think they sweep the Phillies in the playoffs, and that could be the end for Rob Thompson in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I get Dodgers too. Yamamoto has given up an earned run in the last 24 innings. He's just been awesome. So the way that Phillies lineup's been hitting lately, they really need the bats to get going tonight, Yamamoto, which is not going to be easy. So I'm with you. I think it's a sweep tonight. And yeah, Thompson, that core, Castellanos, I think is about to be a free agent.
Schwarber is.
Yeah,
Schwarber's a free agent. Yeah,
Schwarber,
yeah.
This felt like the final run here, and then you got Zach Williams gonna be 38 coming back. I think this was like kind of the end maybe of this core. So, be unfortunate for Rod Thompson.
Former Yankee guy.
Yeah, former Yankee hitting coach there. So, I hopefully they can make this series. But yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of changes coming to Philly if they get swept tonight.
I think I agree there. I agree. So we'll wrap up talking about the Brewers and Cubs. Brewers up 2-0 on the Cubs. We'll start with the Cubs, what they got to do to get back in the series. And pretty much it's so obvious. They need a good start. If they don't get a good start, they're not moving on. If they don't get a good start, Tyone's pitching tonight, they don't get a good start, they're not moving on. I don't get why Craig Counsell pitched Matt Boyd on 3 days rest.
Yeah.
I think that's where this series that's where the Cubs got off on the wrong foot in this series is Matt Boyd pitching on 3 days rest. To me, that made no sense at all. It made no sense why Craig Counsell made that move. I don't get why Craig Counsell made that move. And I think that's why the Cubs got off on the wrong foot in this series. So they need a good start from Tyone. The Cubs need a good start from Tyone. To me, that's their biggest key. Because if they don't get that tonight, their season's going to be over.
Yeah, for me, the lineup, that's got to get going. They haven't scored more than 3 runs in any of these postseason games yet, and they got 3 runs right off the bat on Monday night. And you thought maybe tonight's gonna be their night, but they didn't. I think they only got another hit or 2 after that. The rest of the game. So, in the middle of the lineup, Ian Happ, he hasn't hit well this postseason. He's I think the longest tenure Cub. 3 for 6 against Quinn Priester with 4 walks. So he's had pretty good numbers against Quinn Priester. They need him. And I know Tucker's been banged up, but he's another one. He's got to get going tonight. They need something from him. They got any chance of coming back because Quinn Priester, they've won 19 of his starts this year. So Milwaukee's been great when he's been on the bump. So, they need something. Cubs need something, and hopefully for them to get it early on.
Yeah, they definitely need a good start, and they need to hit. Now for the Brewers to get back to the NLCS for the first time since they played the Dodgers in 2018. So it's very, very, very good chance it's going to be Brewers Dodgers again with the Brewers getting home field. I think if they play, that's going to be that's going to be a 6 or that's going 6 or 7 with the way those teams, with how complete the Brewers are, and with the talent the Dodgers have, and the experience and the winning pedigree the Dodgers have. That's going to be an outstanding. I think the winner of that series, if they play, is going to win the World Series. So, but I think for the Brewers to get to the NLCS, Priester's got to be good tonight, and then continue to hit the way they have. 16 runs in 2 games. That's awesome. This lineup is they just hit. The Brewers are really they're right now. I think they're the most complete team. Let me tell you one thing: Rob Manfred could be getting a Seattle-Milwaukee World Series with the way both those teams are playing.
Yeah, you could. I know for baseball fans like that will still watch it. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
gonna be great for those two franchises. For the
yeah.
national
Oh
audience,
God,
yeah, it may not be
God, those
great for
ratings are
the
going to be terrible. Yeah,
yeah. I know Manfred was hoping for another Yankee Dodger or Phillies Yankee something like that, but that's not gonna happen.
he's not getting the Phillies.
From the
You can
look of
forget
things right
about
now.
that. He's not getting the Phillies. You
Yeah,
can
you
forget
could.
about that.
Yeah, you're probably not gonna get the Cubs either. So but yeah, for the Brewers tonight, Quinn Priester, he's been awesome this year. They got him right before the year, getting him for Boston. Um, he's pitched really well. They need another solid start for him. As I just mentioned, they won 19 of starts this year. He's given them enough length and has kept them enough games where that offense is carried. And number two is that offense. They're third in the league this year in runs scored. They're 22nd in the long ball. They got three of them so far through the first two games, but this lineup just they don't have to use a long ball. They use sack, they'll use the sack fly. They'll move runners over. And there's not a ton of like big kind of known guys in that lineup. Like there's that the national audience might not know. Like Andrew Vaughn was a huge pickup for him from Chicago. Jackson Terrier's been great. They still got Yelich, of course, who had another 100 RBI year. So that line continues to go here, and if that lineup hits well again, they should knock out the Cubs.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think they are. I got Brewers. I think the Cubs win today. They win one at Wrigley, but I think the Brewers finish it off on Thursday night.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Cubbies get 2-1 tonight, find a way to avoid the sweep, but be the gentleman sweep and Milwaukee finish them off tomorrow.
Yes, I agree there. We got Week 6 of the NFL, and it starts with a matchup in the NFC East. But before we talk about that, we will hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
Alrighty, Week 6 in the NFL begins with a matchup in the NFC East between the Eagles and Giants. Both teams are coming off losses last week. The Giants had a pathetic performance in New Orleans, turning the ball over 5 straight times against the Saints. Jackson Dart threw 2 interceptions, an absolutely pathetic performance for them. After they had a lot of momentum winning that game against the Chargers, and they lost all that momentum with their absolutely disgraceful performance against the Saints. And let me tell you something about Brian Daboll. He said he's trying to say Jackson Dart is his effing guy. Well, if your team continues to play like that, you won't be coaching your effing guy going forward. So they fell to 1-4, and then the Eagles lost their first game last week to the Broncos. They had a 2-touchdown lead, gave that game away to the Broncos in a game it was puzzling the way they lost that game. Only giving the ball to Saquon Barkley 6 times. So it was very puzzling the way the Eagles lost that game. I know the Broncos are a good team, but the Eagles were up by 2 touchdowns at home. That's a game the Eagles should have won. But both teams will meet up on Thursday night. in at the Meadowlands, and I don't think this game is. I don't think this game's going to be close. I really don't. I think that the Eagles are they're going to control this game, and I think they're going to learn their lesson from last week. Kevin Patullo is going to put the ball in Saquon Barkley's hands. I think this will be Saquon Barkley's best game of the year. I think it'll be his first game where he goes for over. Goes for over 100 yards in a game. I think he does that. I think Jalen Hurts throws a couple touchdown passes in this game, and I think they force Jackson to turn the ball over a couple times. And I have the Eagles winning by 2 touchdowns, but I think it'll be like a game where the Eagles are up like 27-6, and then the Giants score a touchdown with a minute 30 to go to make it respectable. But I think the Eagles dominate here. I don't think the Eagles will have a problem. And don't forget, Nakobe Dean is coming back too. Giants will be without Darius Slayton in this game. So and they'll be without Jermaine Illuminor, which he was terrible on Sunday. That might be a good thing he's not playing, and Marcus Bowe is playing. That might actually end up being a blessing in disguise for the Giants there that Illuminor's not playing. But the Eagles, I know the Eagles just had a players only meeting. I know there's the AJ Brown drama. I know they're having trouble getting Saquon Barkley going, but they're still clearly a better team than the Giants, and that's why I got the Eagles here winning by 2 scores. I got the Eagles 27-13 over the Giants, but Justin. Can Dart and the Giants pull off a huge upset at the Meadowlands?
No, I don't think they will. I got the Eagles as well, 23-13. Yeah, you mentioned the Eagles. They threw the ball 82% of the time last week. It kind of feels like they're just trying to figure out their identity right now. Like they just don't have one. Maybe that helps keep the Giants in this game. But I think the Giants are going to have to find ways to get multiple turnovers. And they can't do what they did last week of turning the ball over.
That was disgraceful. That was disgraceful.
Yeah, you know who the only other NFL team that's ever done that?
Who was it?
The Jets.
Of course, it's the Jets.
Yeah, of course
It's the Jets. Every bad stat is the Jets or Giants.
Yeah, of course. Of course, the 2 football teams in New York that can never figure things out. But last week is disappointing if you're a Giant fan. I could totally see why. You had all them men. You go to Saints team and they're dreadful. So I think the Giants do keep this close. Do you think the Giants fans show up, or is this going to be an Eagles home game?
Good question. I think it could depend on what the Phillies do tonight. I really think it could depend on what the Phillies do tonight. I think if the Phillies lose to the Dodgers, I think you're going to get more Eagle fans in the building because they won't have anything to be distracted. They won't have to watch the Phillies. So I think the Giant fans will sell their tickets to Eagle fans. So I think it depends on what the Phillies do tonight. Because if the Phillies lose, I think listen, there'll be Eagle fans. It's so close to MetLife Stadium. There'll be Eagle fans in the building regardless. But I think it could be close to 50-50 if the Phillies lose tonight.
Yeah, good point. I forgot about the Philly, the factor in the Phillies there. So,
but also here's the thing with the Phillies. I think they're done with I think I think Philly fans are kind of done with the Phillies, to be honest.
Yeah. They potentially they could be. So who knows? Because might be Eagle season for now on out there in Philly. But we'll see. Hope the Giants and Dart play better this week. But tough one.
Oh, it's gonna be a brutal game for the Giants. As I said earlier, I mean, Daboll last week showed you why Daboll and Shane should be fired. The penalties continue. We saw what happened in the Kansas City game with Daboll. We saw what happened in the Dallas game. There's just so many things that are showing you why Daboll should be fired. And now as a fan, you're probably okay with them breaking up, Dart and Daboll. I think it looks like because Daboll is he's a bad coach. Really, since that first year, he's been a terrible head coach. If you look at his record since the first year, they were 3-14. It was 6-11 in 23, 3-14. So that gets them to 9-20, 9-25, and then they're 1-4 to start this season. So if he's been like 10-29 since year one, 10-29 since year one, that's terrible. Daboll's still lucky to have a job, and that performance on Sunday was so pathetic. I mean, you think you can't get lower than losing to the Saints last year at home? I think they wretched even. I think they even hit another. They even hit more rock bottom losing that game on Sunday. Just an absolutely pathetic performance on Sunday, and it's very, very hard to see the Giants winning this game, seeing how pathetic their performance was on Sunday. It just was horrendous.
Yeah, it's bad, and I can totally understand why you and many other Giants fans are ready to move on because that was outside of the first drive, there wasn't much to hang your hat on for that game on Sunday.
The
It
first
looked
two
good
drives,
early.
first two drives were good.
Yeah,
They were
first two drives, yeah.
14-3. And then the
Yeah.
defense didn't get pressure against a bad offensive line. They give up a big play in the secondary, and then the turn and after the missed field goal, the Saints had the turnover fest started. 5 straight turnovers on 5 straight possessions. I like that Scadaboo. His turnover was the biggest, but I like how he owned it. But still, just the turnovers and penalties. It's just absolutely pathetic. It's very hard to see a win on. It's very, very hard to see them win in the game tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. And the next couple of weeks are gonna be tough. And I know the schedule lightens up a little bit, but the next 3 games are tough. I guess maybe because Denver's playing in London this week, they travel back with no bye. Maybe you get them off jet lag and maybe you get them in a bad spot. But yeah, the next couple of weeks are gonna be very tough for the Giants to get any. Because even the Niners with all those injuries,
I know.
that's the thing that's not quitting.
That's going to be a tough
No?
game. That's going to be a brutal
Yeah.
game too. That's going to.
Yeah,
They're
that is-
very easily could be 1-8 heading to Chicago in
Yeah,
in
which
week 10.
there's probably quit factor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So
Yeah, I just don't see Brian Daboll survive. I don't think you see him and Joe Shane surviving past the season because I see this being a 3-4 win team with the way they
Yeah.
looked on Sunday.
yeah, that was There everything the good that happened a week ago. Yeah, that's disappointing. Any chance they fire him but during the season, Dayball, or no? You think Shane?
I think they keep him until the end. I think they keep him until the end and then they fire him. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, okay, I could see that. Yeah, they're holding there. Yeah, because Shane's tied Dayball, right?
They're both they're tied together and they both have equally been as terrible since 2020. Really Shane the entire time, and really since and Dayball since his first year has been absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, both go. Shane Fleury hopes that Dayball can find something. They can both keep their jobs. But yeah, that does not seem like it's going to happen at this point. Unfortunately for the Giants, and yeah, it's tough. You know, we'll see. You know, we'll see where they go next year. And you have any early candidates who we want right now, or no?
Not
not
yet.
even there yet.
I haven't thought about that yet, but I'm going to start thinking about that in the next couple of weeks because it looks like this team is going to lose the next 4 games. It really does. It looks like this team is going to be 1-8 heading to Chicago in week 10. It looks like they're going to be 1-8. Seeing the way things are going for this team right now, things are just not going well at all for this team. Now, looking at Philly's angle, what's been going on in Philly with the AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, they've had some issues this year. I mean, yes, they've been able to overcome them because their defense is good. They got a good roster. Not a great head coach, but a good head coach. But they've had issues. I mean, they've had issues. You know, the AJ Brown. They've been trying to force feed AJ Brown. They really have been. Saquon Barkley isn't playing as well this year, so they've had some issues. So I think Philly's a good team, but this AJ Brown thing, I think, is a kind of a dark cloud that's hovering over this team, and could be a reason why they don't win. I still think they make the playoffs, but it could be a reason why they don't win the division and get back to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, totally. Because felt like they're force feeding them right now. I think they're still trying to figure out what the identity of this team. Because like you mentioned it, giving Barkley 6 carries is not great. They threw the ball 38 times, and reason why they kind of lost that game. So it's odd to see right now. And yeah, like I think they're totally a playoff team. They're gonna win this division. I still feel like. But yeah, it just doesn't totally feel right. And it's just, I mentioned last week, it just feels like 2 years ago where they'll probably keep winning these games. But maybe at the end of the year, they kind of fall into a little bit of a tailspin again. Maybe they get eliminated early. But yeah, I still think there's too much talent on this roster right now that they're going to totally fall apart and not make the playoffs. But yeah, I don't think right now that this team's winning the Super Bowl. They got some issues that they got to figure out right now.
Yeah, and you've said it. You've said it the last 2 weeks. It feels like they're more the team they were 2 years ago, like a playoff team, more than a team that could win the Super Bowl. It seems like this year they're playing like a team that especially on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, they're playing like a team like they were 2 years ago. Now, thankfully for them, their special teams has bailed them out in 2 of these games. In the Rams game, I know Hurts was great in the Rams game too, but late in the second half of the Rams game too. But the special teams in the Rams game and the Bucs game was a big reason why they won both those 2 games.
Yeah, they were. So yeah, because they could really sit in here right now 2-3, and Philly fans are hitting the emergency buttons, and knowing that fan base, they're going crazy. And so Yeah, like things could be worse. The special teams been huge for him. That's been a big reason why as well. So that's a real good point as well for the Eagles team. So yeah, that's been huge. But special teams can only you have to be good at special teams. But if they're bailing you out every single week, you're in a lot of trouble because that's you gotta be good at special teams, but they can't be tough for them to bail you out every single week and try to bail you out with a punt block or a field goal block return for touchdown. So yeah, it doesn't totally feel right, and we'll see if Sirianni and this coach staff could kind of ride the ship and figure things out.
But they got the perfect team to get right against on Thursday night, and that is the Giants. But we'll move on to the big Sunday night game this week between the Lions and Chiefs. Let's not forget the last time the Lions were at Arrowhead Stadium, a night where the Chiefs rose the banner a couple of years ago. They won that game. They upset the Chiefs at the beginning of 2023. And ever since that day, the Lions have been one of the best teams in the NFL. Ever since that game, the Lions have been one of the best teams in this league. They went on to go 12-5 that year, got to the conference championship game. Last year, 15-2, lost in the divisional round, but they were the number one seed. And this year, they're 3-1, they're 4-1, and to me, they feel like the best team in the NFC. To me, they feel like the best team in the NFC, and that's why I think they're going to go into Arrowhead because they're not afraid to go into Arrowhead. I think they're going to go into Arrowhead and they're going to win again. They're going to win again at Arrowhead Stadium. I think they're going to be able to run the ball because their run game is great. I think Jared Goff's going to play well. They got the best off. I think they have the best offense in the sport. I think their offense is phenomenal. I think their offense is great. I think they're gonna score 30 points. Goff's gonna play well. They're gonna run the ball well. I think you're gonna get a good game out of Mahomes, though. I think you're gonna get a good game out of Mahomes. But I think like a lot of Chiefs games this year, it's gonna come down to the end, just like Monday night, where their defense didn't make a stop. And I think the Chiefs go to 2-4. I really do. I think they go to 2-4. I think that's one of the most difficult things for a team in the NFL. Is one of the most difficult things in the NFL to do is get back to the Super Bowl after you lost it. Only one team since 1993 has done that, and that was the 2018 Patriots. Only one team in almost in over 30 years has done it. It's one of the hardest things to do. The only time in the because the last time the Chiefs didn't make the Super Bowl was 2021, the year after they lost the Super Bowl. It seems like that's going to be the same. It seems like that's going to be the same thing this year. It does not. This Chiefs team does not. I think they're going to make the. I think we'll talk about the Chiefs a little bit later. But when we have them in the Raven conversation. But it looks like this Chiefs team is a beat off this year, and that's why I think this is a close, competitive game. But I'm going Lions here. I'm going with the better team here. I'm going Lions 30-27 over the Chiefs. But Justin, can Mahomes have and the Chiefs bounce back and get to 500?
No, I'm with you. I got Detroit 26-21. Yeah, with the Chiefs, that Ravens game now, like the Texans put up 8, scored on their first 8 possessions. Like, yeah, maybe it's a get right game for Kansas City, but I know their offense wasn't, was better too last night or Monday night, but the blowout of the Ravens didn't fix everything, and and the way that Detroit's been playing the last like 10 quarters, outside of that fourth quarter against Cincinnati the other day, the last 10 quarters up to that, they've been playing like an unbelievable football team. And I think that continues again, as you mentioned. They're not scared to go in Arrowhead on a Sunday night and go get this win. I think Jared Goff plays well. I think St. Brown has a big game through the air. I think the running game of Gibbs and Montgomery does enough on the ground. And I think Detroit beats them up front. I think they're the better team up front. And I think Detroit gets Kansas City and they knock them to 2-4 here.
I think they do too. And they, to me, the Lions to me right now, I picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. I like the Packers at the beginning of the year, but to me, the Lions are the best team because of their offense. And I know they got injuries in the secondary with DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold, but Terrion Arnold isn't good anyways. But I think they're the best team because I think the biggest difference this year with them is they got a healthy Aiden Hutchinson. Last year, I think that's what cost them going to the Super Bowl was not having Aiden Hutchinson. Now with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson, I think that's what makes this team the favorite to go to the Super Bowl in the NFC.
Yeah, right now I agree with you because I would love to see them in Green Bay play right now because that Week 1 game, Green Bay dominated, but Detroit figured some things out and they've been much better since then. So yeah, I agree with you because we just mentioned the Eagles right now. They're kind of figuring things out. Commanders look good, but like I still wouldn't put them there. The Green Bay's kind of falling out. And like outside of the rest of the teams, like the Niners are so banged up and can Mac Jones really lead you to a Super Bowl? Probably not. Baker, if that team gets healthy, but yeah, can Baker lead you to a Super Bowl? So Yeah, right now I'd take Detroit. The way they're playing, I know last year felt like could be the year for Detroit, but maybe it's this year. And with that group, so I thought maybe Goff would fall off just a little bit without Ben Johnson, but he's looked awesome so far.
Oh, yeah. Goff has proven why he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. He's played great. He's played great for the Lions, and the Lions are to me the best offense in football. Now circling back to the Chiefs, and you look at the two contenders in the AFC, the Ravens, two teams we thought were two of the top three teams in the AFC, and who have been two of the top teams in the AFC since 2019 because they've had top quarterbacks Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. But this year, the Chiefs are 2-3, Ravens are 1-4, and the question really is who should we be more concerned about right now, the Chiefs or the Ravens? And I think this is a pretty obvious question. It's the Ravens. I think it's definitely the Ravens because their defense is awful. Their defense is awful. We'll get to their game next against the Rams. So there's a very good chance they could be 1-5. There's to me, if you're looking at two teams that might not make the playoff, that are going to, there's a good chance the Ravens won't make the playoffs. There's a good chance the Ravens won't make the playoffs. I still think even if the Chiefs lose this week, they're going to make the playoffs. I just can't see Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid missing the playoffs altogether. Now, there's a very good chance they might not win that division, the Chiefs. And as I said earlier, there's a very good chance they might not make the Super Bowl. But I still think the Chiefs make the playoffs. The Ravens right now, they're in. There's a very good chance they might miss the playoffs. And a big reason for that is I know Lamar's up, but for how pathetic their defense has been this year. There's like I think there's 4 games where they've given up over 30 points, which is unheard of. Unheard of when you think of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, it is. I'm with you. I think we should be more concerned right now with the Ravens. I think Harbaugh said he's not going to get rid of the defensive coordinator. I'm starting to think maybe the message is getting stale in Baltimore. Like even Kyle Van Noy said, it's not like other teams around the league have injury problems too, and they're not, and they're playing better than us too. Like so he's not making excuse for all the injuries. I know Harbaugh has been forever. He's done a good job, but it just feels like maybe the message is getting stale there. Because that Texans offense hasn't done anything all year outside of 2 weeks ago against the Titans. They scored in their first 8 possessions of the game. That's pathetic. So like even Lamar comes back to the bye here, and the schedule lightens up, but they're sitting there 1-5. That's a tough hole to climb out of with a bunch of division games, which they could win. But that's just such a tough hole that I'm with you. I think the Broncos are going to find a way to win that division this year. The Chiefs are still going to make the playoffs, but I just think this could be a tough year for the Ravens just because I just don't think that defense isn't going to play any better. And it's like Cincinnati last year. Can your quarterback put up 30 points a game? Yeah, Lamar Jackson could, but that's just tough to do. And that's it's hard to replicate that every single week. So I'm with you. I think we got to be more concerned about the Ravens than the Chiefs right now.
Oh yeah, and if you look at the Ravens schedule, coming out of the bye, they got with Lamar probably back. They got the Bears, they got the Dolphins, but they still got to play the Vikings and the Packers. Vikings and Packers on the road. They got the Steelers on the road. I know the Steelers aren't great, but right now they're better than the Ravens. They're playing better than the Ravens. They've already played Cleveland, but that's been the home game. On the road, I could see them losing at Cleveland. I could see them dropping a game at Cincinnati. Look at how bad that defense is, and they still got to play your Patriots, who made a statement last week. So I could see this being a 9-8, 8-9 Raven team that misses. I wouldn't be shocked if they make the playoff or even somehow win this division, seeing how bad this division is and seeing how great Lamar Jackson is. But I also could see them missing the playoffs because of how bad their defense. And you said it perfectly. What Kyle Van Noy said, the message being stale in Baltimore with John Harbaugh.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And Van Noy, former Patriot, that kind of not an excuse making there. And so there's a lot of questions right now in Baltimore now. I'd be surprised if the team makes the playoffs. I don't know. I don't think the team's gonna quit on Harbaugh, but I just think it's to be difficult, even when he comes back from the bye, Lamar, that is. I don't think that defense is getting much better. I don't think a bye week is gonna help this defense out much. So I think this team is destined right now to go a 7-10 type team, maybe 8-9, and I think they miss the playoffs. I know they have, even though there's probably 6 teams in the AFC right now you could count out that's not going to make the playoffs. the Dolphins, Jets, Browns, probably Cincinnati, Titans, Texans. Well,
No, I think Texans definitely have a chance because
yeah,
of their defense and
Texans have a
Stroud.
chance.
Texans definitely
And
have
then
a chance.
Raiders. Yeah,
The
and then the
Raiders,
Raiders.
yeah.
So yeah, that's 6 teams right now. So they could still have a chance to get in there, Baltimore, but I'd see it unlikely at this point.
Yeah, it does not look good for the Ravens. And this week, the Ravens got a tough game against the Rams team that's had 10 days off to get ready for them. The Ravens banged up with a bunch of injuries. I think this will be a little bit more competitive because I don't think they're going to get embarrassed 2 weeks in a row. So I think they'll stay competitive with the Rams. I think they'll stay competitive. But by the second half, I think Kyron Williams takes over. And I think the Rams win this one by double digits. I got the Rams 28-17. But Justin, can the Ravens bounce back this week and pull off a big upset over the Rams?
No, I got the Rams with you here, 35-17. You got a PO'd Rams team that lost a game that they should have against San Francisco last week. You mentioned it with the extra time off here. I think they go up and down the field on the Ravens with no problems. Puka Nacua has over 100 yards. Stafford throws for 250. Kyron Williams, the rest of the Rams rushing attack has a huge game, and even Lamar plays. I don't think he's going to play, but I don't think this Ravens team is going to be able to keep up with the Rams here.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. Now, a big story, big news from yesterday. Joe Flacco was traded from the Browns to the Bengals. The Bengals addressed their quarterback situation, which has been god awful. Jake Browning has 8 interceptions in 3 starts. That's terrible. But seeing the quarterback that the Bengals got, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't call the Giants about Russell Wilson. I'm really not. I'm not. Or Jameis Winston. They got 2 guys who I think are better than Joe Flacco. On the Giants, the Giants probably have 2 quarterbacks that are better than Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was terrible. 2 touchdowns, 6 picks in the 4 games he started with the Browns. So to me, the question is does Joe Flacco make the Bengals a playoff team? And you said it with eliminating the Bengals when we had the playoff conversation a couple minutes ago. No way he makes them a playoff team. There's no way. You could argue this might even be a downgrade from Jake Browning. I mean, yeah, all right, he's a veteran with experience. Maybe it's about the same, maybe a little bit of an upgrade, but you could also argue it's a downgrade. Joe Flacco, the way Joe Flacco played so far this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't really understand the movie either because you have a 40-year-old guy who's a statue back there that has an even worse offensive line.
A terrible offensive
Yeah.
line. This is like one of the worst outside of Houston, probably the second, one of the worst offensive lines in football. That's why Joe Burrow got hurt.
Yeah. So now you're bringing in Flacco, who maybe he won't throw as many interceptions as Browning. Well, Flacco does have 6 on the year, so maybe he'll get turnover like Browning, but. Yeah, I don't see how it makes this team better. Did they name the starter yet? I know that was the plan.
I'm hearing it's going to be Flacco.
So it's going to be a dummy down playbook too this weekend.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Yeah, I don't like this combination for Cincinnati. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't call James Winston or Russell Wilson because at least those guys can move around the pocket a little bit, but. Flacco's a statue. This thing's gonna be ugly. I don't know how it really makes the Bengals that much better. I still just I love the move, but they're trying something here. I guess they're desperate, but there's better options as you mentioned.
They're desperate because Zach Taylor's desperate for his job. This continues, he's going to get fired. Zach Taylor, if they go, if they win 4 or 5 games, he's going to get fired. They're going to finally notice without Joe Burrow. This isn't that good of a coach. This is one of the worst coaches to get to a Super Bowl in a long time. I've saying this for years. He's an average NFL head coach. Zach Taylor's been an average coach. And I think this is a desperation move. Desperation move for the Bengals because they want to try something different than Jake Browning. But it's a 40-year-old quarter, but their answer is a 40-year-old quarterback, not a guy. And I know Russell Wilson's not good anymore. He's average at best. But they didn't want to get a guy who threw for 450 in week 2. I mean, they'd rather take Joe Flacco at 2 touchdowns and 6 picks. To me, it makes no sense, and I don't think it really makes the Bengals better. And I think the Bengals are on their way to missing the playoffs again for the third.
I'm with you. Yep, I'm with you. I think they missed the playoffs, and maybe they're trying to, I don't know. Maybe they want to film for 2 years ago and say, hey, we got the weapons. If you could just spread it around. Joe Flacco's not the same guy that he was back, even a couple years ago. So, I'm with you. I think this team's way on pace to missing the playoffs again.
Yeah, and getting to their game this week against the Packers, it ain't gonna be much of a game. I think this is the game where Micah Parsons finally gets a couple sacks here. I think Micah Parsons gets 2 sacks. I think the Packers run the ball with you. Finally get that run game going with Jacobs. This is kind of a get right game from the Packers' disappointing performance in Dallas a couple weeks ago. I think they got a lot of time off. Perfect spot for the Packers to win big here. I got the Packers cruising against the Bengals. I got them 30-13 over the Bengals. But Justin, can Flacco somehow pull a miracle in his first game as a Bengals starter?
No, I don't think so. I got Green Bay 34-16. 16 points, maybe a little bit too generous for Cincy, because 2 weeks ago they faced them and they had 3 points through first 3 quarters. So he had a couple of INTs in that game as well. So he didn't play well. Yeah, I as you mentioned, Green Bay coming off the bye, giving up a pathetic 40 points to the Cowboys, tying them. I think you see a PO'd Packers defense that gets after Flacco, and Parsons is huge day, and Packers roll, and they should look like the team we saw a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll stay in the AFC North with the Browns and the Steelers. I think this is the Browns defense, which is really good. The Browns defense is probably a top 5 defense in the league. But the problem is their offense is a bottom 5 offense in the league. I like Judkins. I think Judkins can run the ball. I think he could run the ball. But the problem is Dylan Gabriel was okay, but he's going to struggle. He's going to struggle against the Steelers defense, turn the ball over a couple times. I think Aaron Rodgers will not lose the game. He'll manage the game as a veteran quarterback. And I think this game comes down to the end, but I'm going with the Steelers here 20-13. And let me tell you, with the Browns trading Flacco, as I said last week, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Shador in December, because with this Browns, and I know the Browns defense is really good, but this offense is not good. This offense will not keep this team in it after Thanksgiving. It won't. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Shador Sanders in December. But I got the Steelers this week, 20-13 over the Browns.
Yeah, same score as you, 2013 Steelers. Shador's he's got to mature very quickly if he wants to start.
Yes.
With that little thing he did last Wednesday with the acting like a mime.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't let him start until he grows up a little bit. But tall tickets, I could see the Browns throwing him in there at some point. But yeah, I thought Gabriel was okay. Like, he missed that big throw to Njoku late in the second quarter. That he was wide open. Probably would have been a touchdown, or would have been very close to scoring. They're only 3 for 15 on third down. They got to be better in that area. And it's just a tough spot for Cleveland. You don't have a bye here. Pitt's coming off a bye. You're coming back from London. I know it's a short flight to Pittsburgh, but you still got to go back and travel again. So I think this is a rough spot too for Cleveland just in general. So I do think the Steelers take care of business here in a low-scoring, ugly AFC North game.
All righty, your Patriots head to New Orleans coming off a signature win. The Broncos and Patriots got signature wins last week. Broncos in Philly, Patriots in Buffalo. Patriots got a signature win last week in Buffalo against the Saints. In Buffalo against the Bills. Now they will travel to New Orleans to face the Saints. And I think in this game, Rattler might keep the Saints in it early. Kellen Moore might scheme some stuff up, keep them in it early. I saw that last week against the Giants, how they had success. They had success throughout the game, but offensively, they had a lot of success early. I think they'll continue to have that kind of success against the Patriots. But I think in the second half, the Patriots take over. I think their pass rush, their defense takes over, forces a couple turnovers from Rattler. And I think their run game, Stevenson and Henderson have a good game on the ground. And I think Drake May continues to play well, throws a couple touchdown passes. I got the Patriots here 27-17 over the Saints. But Justin, can the Patriots avoid a letdown from last week?
They better if they're turning that corner. I got them 24-17. As long as they don't turn the ball over 5 times like they did against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago,
that was terrible.
They should be able, they should be able to win this football game. Diggs looks awesome, which I did not think he has this much of an impact that he's had. Patriots. I think Drake Mays looked awesome. That offense started to get better. That offensive line, Jared Wilson too has been quiet at the guard spot.
Will Campbell's been really good.
Will Campbell too. I thought he did awesome against Bosa last week. I don't think he allowed one pressure on him.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I saw. So been really good. Jared Wilson, the kid from Georgia, has been good too. I think he's only allowed pressure like 2% of the time this year. So, the offense is getting better and continues to get better, hopefully against this week. And hopefully against the Saints, just don't let like an Alvin Kamara beat you this week, or a lot of like one of those guys. So I do think they take care of business here and move to 4-2.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine with Kamara. I think they'll be able to contain the run. And but the big question is, did they turn the corner as a franchise last week? Did they turn the corner in terms of being a Super Bowl contender? I'd say last week gave me confidence that they're going to be a playoff team. I don't know if I think there's still some weaknesses. Diggs has played really well the last 2 weeks, but can Diggs do it consistently? Can the O-line be consistent? Drake May is a franchise quarterback. I think he proved last week that throw in the fourth quarter was ridiculous when he was under pressure, and he hit Stephon Diggs there on that last drive of the game. So I think they proved that they were a playoff team last week. Still some issues, maybe back end of the defense has some issues. There's still some issues there. Offensive line is okay. But can the O-line be consistent? Can Diggs be consistent? And with Gonzalez in the secondary, can the secondary be good? I think if all those things mesh together, they could be a Super Bowl contender. But right now, I'm still at the point where they're a playoff team, but not a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I still have them on the playoff team. I want to say they are a contender.
Yeah, because
I think they're a year away.
The AFC being down. That's the thing. With Baltimore and Kansas City being down, I think that helps.
Yeah, I think that helps. So, I wouldn't be shocked if they win a game or two, but, I still don't – the thing is that you're still not going to win this division, so you're going to have to go on the road. More than likely, you're probably not going to be the first wild card. If you do, could you go to Indy, Jacksonville and win? They could, but maybe even actually playing the AFC North winner. But yeah, I think they're probably a year away. I think it's just good to hopefully get this team in the playoffs. Be nice to win a game and just get the confidence going. But yeah, I think they're a year away. Even I want to say they are, because outside of Buffalo, there's nobody else. I guess you could say Kansas City.
But Kansas City's not playing well.
Yeah,
the team. You know the team I like.
Denver.
Denver. Yeah. I like Denver.
Yeah, Denver is probably the only other team right now outside of Buffalo, which Buffalo, I think really played bad last week. But outside of that, I'm not really scared of anybody else. So I want to say they are, but they are still just a young team. You mentioned some of the concerns they still have, and I do think in the playoffs that will get them beat. So I think they're a year away.
I don't think we'll have our final answer getting closer towards the postseason. I think it's hard to tell now, but I just need to see things being a little bit more consistent, because let's not forget they did lose to the Raiders. They did lose to Pittsburgh. They lost 2 home games to the Raiders and Steelers. So I just need to see things be a little bit more consistent. But I think last week proved that they're a playoff team. Last week proved they're definitely a playoff team, and I think we'll have our final answer on if they're a Super Bowl contender later in the season.
Yeah, we will. And their schedule's pretty easy coming up.
That's the thing. That schedule is. Oh man, you got the Saints. You got the Titans. You got the Browns. You do have Atlanta, but you got Atlanta at home. Tough game. The Tampa game's gonna be a tough game.
That's going to the bye. That might be the only game right now that they're an underdog at right now. They might be a favorite in every other game.
Because they play the Jets on that Thursday night. They got the
at home.
They got the Bengals with Joe Flacco. They'll be favored there.
Yeah,
and they got the Giants. They'll obviously be favored against the Giants in that Monday night game. So yeah, honestly, outside of the Tampa game until the bye, you're right. That'll be the only game where they'll be an underdog.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to win all those games. They're going to have a hiccup or two. It's just going to happen to the young football team. But yeah, they should roll off a bunch of wins here and put yourself in good position. So, I really just don't have they hope have a hiccup here in New Orleans or Tennessee the next couple of weeks, or even a Browns at home. But I could see them losing a game at home to Atlanta at Tampa Bay. So, but yeah, I think the next couple of weeks you got to reel off a bunch of these victories here. So yeah, I guess I wouldn't be surprised at first wild card that schedule, but maybe they beat whoever wins the North or South. That's probably going to be the 4 seed, but I don't think they get much farther than that. So, but yeah, I think we'll get our answer next couple of weeks, and hopefully, they don't really stub their toe against a couple of these bottom feeders that they get in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Patriots off to a really good start. Got a huge win on Sunday night. We'll see if they follow it up and beat the Saints this week. Now we got the game in London between the Broncos and Jets, and I think this game, the Broncos are going to win by 3 scores. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think Bo Nix is going to be able to throw for a couple touchdown passes, and I think the Broncos defense is going to sack, Justin Fields, 3 or 4 times. The Jets, to me, are the worst team in the NFL. They proved it last week. Seeing the way they lost to the Cowboys at home, they proved it last week. To me, the Jets are one of the best teams in the league. And the Broncos are one of the best teams in the league, and the Jets are one of the worst teams in the league. That's why I got the Broncos here winning 27-10 over the Jets. And Justin, I assume you got the same.
Yeah, I got 27-13 in this one. Yeah, the Jets are just they made the Cowboys in the first half look at the 85 Bears on defense.
I know, and their defense is awful.
Yeah, it's bad. So these London European games, they're always pretty ugly. I think Bo Nix is gonna have a pretty good game here. I think their defense shuts them down, and the Jets don't win next week against Carolina. I know they still have the Browns at home and the Dogs. They could be 0-17. This thing is an absolute disaster.
Oh, this could be a one and done. This could be a one and done for Aaron Glenn. And you know when it started to turn really bad for him? When he said we aren't the same old Jets. You are the same old Jets. You got blown out to the Cowboys at home. You are the same old Jets. He makes this comment, and that's when everything turned. I think that's when everything turned around. He tried to sell people a bill of goods at 0-3. They weren't the same old Jets, and then they lose to the Dolphins, who've only won one game, and they got destroyed to the Cowboys at home.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was. And they looked good against Steelers. You thought, all right, maybe this team's not gonna be that bad. But yeah, since then it's been brutal. Yeah, they had Tampa one. Yeah, Glenn just every time we watch Glenn on the sideline, he's not like teaching it. He's just kind of just staring off like a 1,000-yard stare. Like he's not ever teaching. He's not ever like he's not.
He's
just
lost.
seems like he's saying. He just seems that's the word. He's lost. Yeah,
he's lost.
Yeah,
he's lost. And that's why I think the football team's going to show it and get blown out on Sunday in London against the Broncos. Now, one of the biggest games in Week 6 is the Niners and the Bucs matchup of 2 4-1 teams. And I'm going to take the team that's more healthy. And let me tell you, when Tampa Bay gets healthy, Tampa Bay. I mean, Ibuka's the offensive rookie of the year. He's been phenomenal this year. But Ibuka, you put Ibuka, Evans, and Godwin on the same field. You get all these stars healthy. I know their defense is above average, but their defense is good enough for them to be a Super Bowl candidate. Their offense could rival their offense. I think is going to rival the Lions by the end of the year as one of the best in football. And I think this is going to be a really good game. But I'm going to take the team. I think the difference is going to be a red zone game. I think the Bucs are going to score touchdowns. The Niners are going to kick field goals. I don't know if Purdy's going to play or not. The Niners still have a lot of injuries. So I think this is going to be a red zone game, and I think the Bucs are going to take advantage of their red zone opportunities, and that's why I think the Bucs are going to win here. The Bucs are going to go to 5-1. Niners go to 4-2. I get the Bucs 27-23 over the Niners. But Justin, can Kyle Shanahan continue to get this team to play well and get them to get in this bounce back season, get them to 5-1?
I don't think they're going to win this week. I got the Bucs as well here, 27-21. Mac Jones, I'm happy with the kid. And last couple weeks for Bill have not been good.
They've been awful for Bill. And what the hell is – I didn't talk about this. What the hell is Bill Belichick doing, not wanting UNC players to tweet out Patriot stuff? And this proves to me one thing about Bill Belichick, which no one can argue. He got fired. There's no way he'd be acting this way if he didn't get fired.
Yeah.
He got fired. He got fired.
Yeah, it is bad. Oh, they're gonna get the NCAA is gonna get some sanctions too, because I guess their players are selling the tickets that they get. I guess they're selling them for profit or whatever. So there's an article came out or whatever telling them to stop doing that. So the NCAA is gonna come down on them soon. And there was an article too on Lombardi, like the parents don't like Lombardi. It's
they might get fired after this year. That's how bad it is there.
They gave him so much money. I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, it's just a mess. I feel I tried to defend Bill as long as I could. They was Brady for most of it. Exactly. Going back to this game, I think Mac does play well against this Tampa defense that you could have success with. But I think Baker Mayfield, too, again, could win the MVP right now the way he's been playing. He's been awesome. You mentioned Ibuka. Jackson Smith and Nibble, the 2 Ohio State guys last week going at it was awesome. So I do think Tampa here at home gets another win, and they move to move to 5-1 here.
Yeah, I think they do. I think the Bucs move to 5-1. You could argue they're right there with the Lions and the Eagles. I know the Eagles have had their problems, but they're right there with the Lions and Eagles as the best teams, and the Packers as the best teams in the NFC. Now, moving on to a matchup in Carolina between the Cowboys and Panthers. I think this is going to be a fun game. It's going to be a high-scoring game because Bryce Young played well last week against the Dolphins. I think he plays well again against the Cowboys defense. But I can't see Dak Prescott, a guy who's played outstanding football. He's played great. Dak's a top 10 quarterback, clearly. He's played great. He might not make the playoffs because Jerry Jones made a horrific move by trading the guy that would have helped them contend this year. But that's another. We could talk about that for weeks. But I think Dak Prescott plays great again. I think Bryce Young plays well, but I'm taking Dak Prescott over Bryce Young any day of the week. That's why I got the Cowboys here, 31-27 over the Panthers. But Justin, can Bryce Young continue to stay hot and get the Panthers their second straight win?
Same score as you, and I get the Cowboys as well, 31-27. Maybe a little bit of a trap game from Dallas. They do have Washington at home next week. Maybe
we saw this,
last year.
No, we saw it a couple weeks ago against Chicago.
Oh yeah,
they had that big game against Green Bay coming up, and they played terribly in Chicago. So I don't know if we'll see the same thing, but that's a good point. But I just don't see Dak losing this game. I don't see him losing it. No. They're playing well right now. I don't see him losing this game.
Yeah, the offense is playing well. I think they'll be all right. I think they'll outscore Bryce Young in this team. And, you mentioned Jerry, the middle finger last week, too. Jerry, you got to love it. He's always having the news somehow. So I do think Dallas wins a shootout here. They do get it done. But, I do think Bryce Young plays well again. And they got the running game going. We'll see Rico Dowdle can have good revenge game here against.
That's a good
team.
point. He wants it. He wants his revenge against the Cowboys. Hit over 200 yards rushing last week against the Dolphins. We'll see if he can repeat that performance against the Cowboys this week. But we got a good matchup in Jacksonville between the Jags and the Seahawks, and I think this is a close, competitive game. But I'm gonna take the quarterback who I think is gonna step up and win the game at the end, and that's Trevor Lawrence. I think Sam Darnold, he's played well this year, but it always seems like when the game's on the line, Sam Darnold, turns the ball over. And I think it's either gonna be Darnold turning the ball over at the end, and the Jags win it that way with a game-winning field goal, or Trevor Lawrence doing what he did last week, driving down the field and then winning it with a game-winning field goal. I'm going Jags here. I got the Jags 23-20 over the Seahawks to go to the Jaguars. I got the Jaguars going to 5-1. But Justin, can Darnold and the Seahawks bounce back this week and stay and keep pace in the NFC West?
Yeah, I'm going to go Darnold with a bounce back, 27-24. That was a tough one last week. He played really well, and I know he threw the pick at the end there. But, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield was a game of the week last week. Those two were outstanding. I think, I do think Darnold plays well. I do think Seattle does have a good game or decent game on the ground this week. I think Jackson Nigba has another good one. But for Jacksonville, I don't want to fully buy in yet, but that game Monday night is a game they always find a way to lose. And to get that game, maybe the ship's turning. And Liam Cohen, that guy turned around Kentucky's offense, which under Mark Stoops has been abysmal. And he made Will Levis a top 5 pick. So Liam Cohen seems like he knows what he's doing right now. And, Lawrence looked better. I do like this Jags team. I'm not fully committing it, but I'm getting very close to. But I do think this week, maybe a little bit of letdown spot. Seattle finds a way to get Jacksonville gets a win.
Yeah, it should be a good game between the Jags and the Seahawks. Now, going from another top team in the AFC South, going from one top team in the AFC South to another, the Colts host the Cardinals this week. And Daniel Jones played really good football. The Colts offense has been excellent, and I think they continue to play well. I think they put up 28 points. They put up 4 touchdowns this week against the Cardinals. I do think this is going to be weird for the Cardinals because they had that absolute disaster. I mean, if this was like a big market team, this wasn't like Arizona, Tennessee, this game would have gotten so much more attention last week. Arizona had the game won like 3 times. DiMercado had that huge run, and he fumbled the ball. And then you had the incident where Gannon hit him in the chest, which is, I think Gannon could lose the locker room if he doesn't start winning if his team doesn't start playing better the next couple of weeks because of that incident. He could lose the locker room because of that. And then you had the interception that they fumbled away, and the Titans got a touchdown. And then the defense couldn't hold the lead. So they lost. The Cardinals lost the game 3 different times last week. But in this one, I do think Kyler Murray competes. But I'm going to take the better team here and the better coach. And they're 2 former Eagle assistants. I'm going to take the better of the 2 Eagle assistants, and that's Shane Steichen. I'm going to go with the Colts, go to 5-1. I got the Colts winning 28-20 over the Cardinals. But Justin, can Kyler Murray and the Cardinals bounce back this week and get to 500?
Yeah, I think that loss is going to take a couple weeks to recover from. I got the Colts 30-17. Yeah, you mentioned all that. Me and probably a lot of more people had them Survivor last week too. So I still don't understand how they lost that game. That's a frustrating one. But yeah, with this Cardinals team too, the first 4 drives you scored 3 touchdowns and you do nothing else the rest of the game too against a bad Titans team I'm kind of done with Kyler Murray. I'm tired of kind of maybe believing he'll figure it out. And I think Daniel Jones again this week plays well. I think Jonathan Taylor has a big game on the ground. I think they do whatever they want. And I think the Colts win by a couple scores here. I don't think the Cardinals will take a couple weeks to recover from that loss last week there. That's I said it last week. As long as they don't sleepy effort, they didn't come out sleepy, and then they go up
just completely 21-6,
and they fall apart.
Completely fell apart.
Yeah. So yeah, disappointing one for Arizona if they want to try to be a playoff team, but they're not a playoff team.
Not at all. And I'll admit I was wrong by saying they were going to the playoffs for the season. I was wrong about that. That was a whiff for me because this team, to me, the way I'm looking at it, they're probably going to win. They probably won't win more than 6 games, especially with the head coach they have, who probably is going to be fired at the end of the season. But we will move on to a matchup with 2 struggling teams in Miami. You got the Chargers, who lost 2 in a row. Dolphins, who've been playing. Mike McDaniel's very close to getting fired, and I just can't take. I know the Chargers are beat up. They've been beat up worse than any team in the league outside of their quarterback, but I just can't take Mike McDaniel over Jim Harbaugh right now. I just can't do that. I think Jim Harbaugh figures it out and wins, and I got the Chargers here 23-17 over the Dolphins. But Justin, can Tua and Waddle have a big week and pull up an upset at home?
Now I get Chargers as well, 27-16. How do you blow a 17-0 lead to Carolina?
I know.
How do you let that team evolve?
I know.
You like
Terrible. Yeah.
I think this Miami team's gonna quit in the next couple of weeks. You mentioned it. I know the Chargers are so banged up, especially on the offensive line, but I just think the Chargers this week, all they have to do is run the football. You know, I think
it's gonna be hard. It might not be easy, but they probably will do it because the Dolphins are terrible against the run. But they have the two top running backs out with Harris and Hampton. They have their two top running backs out.
Yeah, I know they may be banged up, but Hassan Haskins, I think, is going to be the starter. I could see him having a big game on the ground because I just don't think it matters. And I think Herbert does enough this week, but man, he's been getting – because I don't think they're going to want to throw the ball a lot because he's gotten killed early on a lot this year. So think they get up early here, put the gas kind of on cruise control. They beat Miami here by double digits.
All right, matchup of 2 1-4 teams in Vegas with the Titans and Raiders. And I know the Titans won last week, but they thank the Cardinals for blowing that game. I think this game is close and competitive because the Raiders aren't good either. But I think Ashton Genty's the difference in this game. And that's why I think the Raiders finally snapped their 4-game losing streak and win 27-24. But Justin, can Cam Ward lead the Titans to their second straight win?
No, I got Vegas here as well, 23-20. Obviously, Titans got lucky last week. The Raiders been abysmal, but I do think Genty has a big game on the ground this week. I think Crosby, too, is a game record. I think he gets that to Cam Ward a couple times. And so I think Geno Smith Geno's going to throw a pick, but like as long as he doesn't throw 2 or 3, I got to find – I wonder when they're going to bench him and go to like an Aiden O'Connell or Kenny Pickett and what – because, man, it's just not working out with Geno right now. He just turns the ball over way too much. But I think this week he puts one up for a win.
All righty, we got 2 Monday night games. We'll start with the Bills and the Falcons. I think in this game, I think Josh Allen plays great. I think James Cook runs the ball really well. I think the Bills score 30 points. They bounce back this week. I do think the Falcons stay in the game just because of Bijan. The Bills have a lot of trouble against the run. I think Bijan has a big week. But at the end of the day, I'm taking the team with the better quarterback, and I'm going with the Bills here 31-24 over the Falcons. But Justin, can Bijan carry the Falcons to their second straight win?
No, I got the Bills here 20-20. The Falcons never win these type of games. I know the Bills kicked, they shot themselves in the foot a lot last week. I think Bijan Robinson has a pretty good game on the ground, but I think they fall behind early here, and Josh Allen's the difference. And I think he plays better this week, and the Bills do go to land and get this one.
All righty, so the last game of week 6, the Bears and the Commanders. We all remember their game last year was a classic, where Jaden Daniels won the game at the end on a Hail Mary. I think this game is close and competitive too, but I think that Jaden Daniels is going to outplay Caleb Williams. Like Bill Crosby-Merritt is going to have a really good game, go for over 100 yards again. I think they'll be able to run the ball against the Bears defense. It's really struggling against the run. I think Caleb will play well, but he'll take that one big mistake, and that's why I'm going Commanders here to go to 4-2. I got the Commanders over the Bears, 30-24. But Justin, can Caleb Williams and the Bears get revenge on what happened last year in Washington?
No, I'm with you here. I get the Commanders 20-23. I think even coming off the bye here, I think Caleb Williams does play well, but I think Jaden Daniels gets a little bit more healthy right now. The Bears giving 6 yards of carry, are giving up 6 yards of carry right now. So I think the Commanders run the ball all over them, and they do, and that leads them to a victory here Monday night.
All right, that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with RJ. But we'll be back in about 15 minutes to talk about Week 7 of the college football season, a couple big matchups in the Big Ten. So make sure you tune in for that.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.